In this video, I'm going to show you the quickest way for you to develop speed when you practice sweep picking. Let's get right into it. So remember when Yngwie Malmsteen used to say how more is more?
Remember, less is more. I always said, how can that be? How can less be more? It's impossible. More is more.
And what he said is absolutely true. But it's also true the other way around. Less is less. And this is especially true when it comes to your practice routine. When it comes to learning new materials and trying to play a musical pattern and becoming proficient with it, there are three elements that you need to keep in mind. The first one is tempo or speed. The second is articulation, how you are able to articulate each note and play with clarity. The third element is the number of notes that you play. So, of course, it doesn't really matter whatever you play, articulation always takes first place. What you play needs to always be clean and properly articulated. The other two elements can be altered in different ways. When it comes to practicing your guitar, there are two main approaches that you can take in order to become proficient at playing whatever it is that you're working on. The first one is to sacrifice on speed. This means working with a metronome and trying to play everything slow but cleanly. And you can play as many notes as you want. This is a great approach if you want to improve on your sense of rhythm and being in time. The other approach is to try and sacrifice or limit the number of notes that you play so that you'll be able to play as fast as you want. Of course, if you're playing very few notes, like 4 or 5 notes at a time, and you're adding pauses in between, it'll be much easier for you to play that musical pattern quickly and build speed compared to when you're playing something that has like 20 notes. If you're playing like 20 notes in a go, it'll be much more difficult for you to play that pattern quickly and build speed. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the second approach, and I'll show you the quickest way that I know of in order for you to build speed with your sweep picking. Usually, when you're working on an arpeggio shape, you would usually ascend and descend the pattern. You would play them in a cyclical fashion, but if you want to build speed, the quickest way for you to be able to play that arpeggio shape quickly, to play it fast, is to only ascend or only descend the pattern in your practice routine. This means you do not combine these two movements together. First of all, I just want to quickly mention that if you want to improve the economy of the left hand when you're playing a particular arpeggio shape, in the beginning you should try to play notes and let them ring together. Try to play them like a chord so that you know the angle that the left hand needs to take in order for the left hand to move as little as possible. It's a great way for you to figure out the optimal angle for the left hand for that particular arpeggio. So try to play everything like you're playing a chord and let the notes ring together and find the optimal hand angle for the left hand. Once you've got the angle down, you can try to separate the notes, but you try to play that arpeggio in that angle. Once you've got that down, your practice routine will be just only ascending or only descending the pattern instead of going up and down the entire shape. During the practice routine, whenever you get bored, you can try to keep that same shape but move it around. Like maybe move the whole shape up by a half step or a whole step, or move it back by a half step or a whole step. This will add more variety to what you're practicing. Once you can play the ascending pattern or the descending pattern quickly and proficiently, you can try to combine the two movements and play them together. But in the beginning, this might not work out for you. So whenever you feel like you can't really combine the two movements, you should go back and only ascend or descend the pattern. The fewer notes you play, the easier it will be for you to build speed with whatever pattern that you're working on. The final tip that I want to share with you is to basically try and play variations of that same shape without changing the notes that you're playing. You can try to add variations to what you're practicing and learn different versions of that arpeggio by changing the starting point as well as the ending point for that arpeggio shape. For example, with this same shape, I can try to start on the 5th string and end on the 2nd string. Or maybe I can start on the 4th string and end on the 3rd string. Something like that. But it's important that you try to keep the number of notes that you're playing one at a time as few as possible. With the shape that I'm playing, if I'm only ascending the shape, that's like 8 notes. So try to keep the number as small as possible. 4 to 8 notes is the usual gold standard when it comes to building speed. If you like what you saw, you can like, subscribe, and push that notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video that is similar to this one. Let me know in the comment down below the things that have helped you to play faster when you're practicing sweep picking.